guys, I'm here with Bob Layton, the creator of Hercules, Prince of Power, which I had talked about in one of my shows. In fact,
what did he say?
It was good.
Oh, okay,
good. It was good. He
was absolutely right.
It was actually the one where Hercules saves a planet by trying to drink Galactus under the table.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I'm always cruel to Galactus, aren't I?
Yeah.
You get the impression I don't like him.
Oh no, I noticed in one of the issues where you have Hercules punching a balloon of Galactus, just sending it straight out, and I just think like, man, I wish it was Galactus.
Yeah, the inflatable Galactus doll. Yeah, I remember that. That was actually Jackson Geiss's idea. You know, he actually. I think it was one night we were just kind of hanging out. You know, it was like I was talking about doing the grabbing novel. He says, you should do something horrible to Galactus again. You know? And I said, well, it doesn't really fit in the story I'm doing. And then I got, we started just joking around. And I said, maybe I could have like an inflatable Galactus doll or something. And next thing we know, we kind of like bullshitted that segment, that whole segment together. And so, yeah, I give him credit in the book.
Oh, of course. What made you want to start comics? What got you into mainstream comics?
Well, I learned to read up them when I was a kid. I mean, I skipped a grade in school because I was reading proficiently by the time I got to kindergarten. Because I had bugged my sisters into teaching me what the little scribbly things said on the comic books. I mean, I could still tell what was happening, but I was so curious to what they were saying that I was intrigued to read. So by that time, the hook was already in me. It was just I didn't have a fireman or policeman stage. I wanted to be a storyteller. So that was my goal.
Yeah, I read about that somewhere, and you said it was, and they said it was Challengers the Unknown, right?
Yeah, that was the first thing I read as a kid.
Have you ever wanted to write a story of Challengers in the Unknown?
Oh yeah, and I pitched DC a couple times. One time, I had a Challengers in the Unknown pitch with Barry Windsor-Smith.
Really?
Yeah, the two of us came up with a pitch, and we went to DC. But they're really funny over at DC. They're kind of like, no, we already have something in the works by two guys you never heard of, so we really can't like do anything with that. So they turned Bob Layton and Barry Windsor-Smith down on Challengers in the Unknown.
Yeah, it's in the
that's
works.
That's something none of you wanted to read, right?
Yeah, it's in the works, but 20 years later, still nothing. But actually, what inspired you to create Hercules, Prince of Power?
Well, what happened was Marvel came to me and said that we're thinking about doing miniseries, something that hasn't been done before. And do you have any ideas for characters that would like only work in like 4 issues? And I was a big fan of those appearances of Hercules and Thor because I always thought it was really funny. He would come to Earth and kick the shit out of Thor and go away, and he would just bust stuff up, and he was a total buffoon. And at that particular time, I really felt like the Marvel Universe was starting to get a little too serious. I mean, I just got done, doing Demon in a Bottle, and, Frank Miller was doing Daredevil, where everybody had a sword to their eye and they're dead. And there was like Phoenix Saga, and just everything, the whole Marvel Universe was so serious. So, I thought, I'm a big romantic comedy kind of fan. I said, like, let's just poke fun at the Marvel Universe. And so that was really the germ that started the whole Hercules Prince of Power. So also I felt Hercules was a household name. It was something that everybody knew. So you didn't need like a massive amount of introduction.
Right. Is there anything in particular about the character that appeals to you? I mean, see, to me, I find like he's one of those. He's kind of a jock, but he's the kind of jock that you can like. He's a very lovable buffoon. He's a very likable oaf.
We all have friends like that. We all have friends who are kind of boorish and crass at times and thoughtless, but we know their heart is good. And we forgive them for that because we know that there's not a malevolent bone in their body, that they just lack social skills. Right. And for somebody he's a guy who everything comes easy to him. He gets women. He can beat up anyone. There's nobody to tell him no. And that's where the whole idea of him being an arrested adolescent came from. Right. The fact he basically was a guy who never grew up. And I wanted to put him in a situation where life forced him to grow up.
And concepts, and actually that's a relatable concept.
Yeah, no, that's what we always do as writers. We try to create concepts that we can relate to, not just in terms of story, but as human beings.
Do you have any favorite characters in general, or any characters you would like to tackle?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of out of comics now, so that's kind of a moot question. But I did have characters I wanted to. I mean, obviously, I love Iron Man. I would do Iron Man. If you could just kill the hierarchy of Marvel, I would just do Iron Man for the rest of my life.
Get on it.
Yeah, but or just pay me what they owe me. But I always wanted to do Challenges the Unknown. Right. We already kind of covered that. And I also, in the same vein of Hercules, I wanted to do DC's version of Hercules as Adam Strange. All right? Really? Yeah, to me, if I was going to do what I did with Hercules, I would do it with Adam Strange. Because, here's a guy who basically is kind of a nerdy professor who once every 28 days, which is weird too because it's like a menstrual cycle, he goes out and stands in the middle of the Macy's Day Parade dressed in his little costume waiting for the Zeta beam to hit him so he can go fight giant tennis shoes and vacuum cleaners, And they never really touched on what he does the other 28 days when he's home. Or like the fact that he reappears back on Earth somewhere wearing his little like space boy suit, and nobody thinks anything of it. And he's a college professor, I mean, he's running around like he disappears and he comes back and there's pictures of him in little spacesuits in front of the Macy's Day Parade. And I just thought like, and also it was like the world's worst cock tease. I mean, this guy had the worst case of blue balls ever because he'd go there, he'd fight the giant vacuum cleaner, and just about when he's ready to bang Alana, he'd disappear.
Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing a panel of that. Just like, okay, ready.
Yeah. So it's like, to me, that was like, if I was going to do something, I would go to DC and I would do my sort of tongue-in-cheek version of Adam Strange.
Personally, I think mainstream comics don't have enough tongue-in-cheek in them. I think they are way too serious. They're taking themselves way too seriously.
But I've always done stuff like that. I did Dr. Mirage in Valiant. That was a romantic comedy, basically, So.
Last question. Is there anything you would like to tell up-and-coming writers and artists, or writer-artists like yourself? Because not only is he a writer, he is a very, very good artist as well.
It goes back to the old write what you know. It's just what we were talking about. What did I do with Hercules? Well, is it a simple adventure story? Yes. But what's the message? The message is that a lot of us, are forced to grow up, and that's not so easy sometimes. Let's face it. We're all sitting here wearing comic book T-shirts and stuff. We're all grown-ups, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's no arrested adolescents in this room, is there?
No, not at all.
So I'm saying I try to create something that people can relate to. It's always important because story is always about character and conflict. And you got to remember that conflict always results in the character being inexorably changed by the resolution of it. That's what people forget. That it's not an episode. It's about creating a conflict that will change your character inexorably, like Demon in a Bomb. Even like the Hercules saga. My Hercules was a very different guy by the second series.
Right.
He'd already been humbled considerably. And he continued to be humbled throughout the thing, And to the point where, by the graphic novel, he was almost wise at times, And it's like, it was just that process of growing up. Have something to say, and not just be about guys in long underwear, It's just,
there's plenty of that.
There's plenty of that, yeah, exactly.
But Mr. Layton, I want to thank you for this. This is a rich opportunity, and I will treasure it always.
And he waited 3 days to get this interview because I kept telling him to bug off.
But he was nice about it.
I was.
All right.
All right. Thank you.